Hello everyone, it's Hindash. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with this toasty nude makeup look that's going to look incredibly stunning. As soon as I posted this, I got a ton of requests to upload the full video, so here it is. And my model for today is the beautiful Maria, who I'm sure you've seen here before. I'm starting off with my color fluid in the shade Carve, mixed in with the liquid highlighter. I've been doing this a lot with my color fluids lately, and they give the skin this incredible lit from within glow and color, almost like a glowy tinted bronzer. So after I evenly coat the brush with a thin layer, I'm starting to bronze the forehead. I'm using a dense fluffy brush to really buff this in. You can easily blend this in with your hands. Think of this as if you're applying a tinted moisturizer, really enhancing your skin tone. You can mix my color fluids with your foundation, moisturizer, or any fluid products to alter the consistency and finish of the product. That's what I love about them. My favorite way to do this so far is with a liquid highlighter and your existing base products to make them seamlessly blend with your skin tone, kind of creating this custom color that works in harmony with all your undertones. You can get a full coverage color punch out of them, or a sheer wash of glow like I'm demonstrating here. Next, I'm going in with concealer, buffing this in with a dense brush. I'm not using foundation for this look because she doesn't need it, and I want the skin to have an effortless summer glow. So with that dense brush, I'm going to tap and buff the concealer into the skin, forming a very thin layer of coverage. And I'm concentrating this on the areas that I would normally highlight in the skin. So on the jawline, around the mouth and chin, and around the nose. This also accentuates the nose beautifully by reverse contouring, adding brightness to the sides of the nose, and tapping to blend. Targeting any breakouts by applying a thicker layer. Then using the flat dense brush to stipple and pat this in, so you don't really move that coverage around, letting the brush do all the diffusing. I'm also taking this on the very center of the face, underneath the eyes and down the jawline. So this is where it'll really add dimension and further enhance the look of that glow. And buffing this in between the brows and the center of the forehead lightly. And when I get to the eyes, I'm targeting the outer corners, basically creating a guide to where I want that eye lift with the eyeshadow. And then going in the very inner corners of the eyes, bringing this down to the hollows of the eyes. Again, just tapping and pushing this into the skin using light layers. When I'm done with this placement, I can take the larger brush and blend this in further by diffusing those edges. I don't want to completely take them away, so just enough for the edges to blur into the skin. You can always use a sponge to do this. I usually prefer a sponge, but for some applications, I love a brush. It really depends on my mood and the consistency of the concealer. And since I want to keep the skin fresh with an overall glow, I can be more precise with this brush. A sponge can sometimes blend things too far out and cover a larger space all at once. Going back to the corners of the eyes and tapping this in with my finger to really melt it in. And that is the overall base done. For blush, I'm using a shimmery rose pink blush, applying this on the cheekbones and blending this in using the same brush method I did with the concealer, concentrating the color on the center of the cheeks and letting the edges diffuse beautifully. Keeping in mind that this is a glowy blush, I want the placement to really reflect where I want the highlighter to be as well. When I get closer to the apples of the cheeks, I'm moving the brush around in circular tapping motions for a softer diffused blend. Then all around the edges. You can see how beautifully glowy her cheeks look. A touch down the nose, and repeating the same steps on the other side. I've also done this by mixing in my color fluid in Heartist with a liquid highlighter, and it looks incredible. I'll have to show you in an upcoming video. But just look at how beautiful this looks with the minimal skin. This 3-step method is definitely going to be something I'll be repeating over and over again, because it just looks way too good. Now I can move on to some light setting powder. I'm taking this with a precise, dense brush and starting very lightly from the inner corners and around the eye, following the areas that I want to lift by creating more of a brighter appearance. So around the nose and the corners of the mouth and chin. I'm making sure I don't powder the areas where we've created the stunning layered glow. So definitely avoiding the cheeks and the outer parts of the face. I'm doing the very center of the forehead between the brows, keeping the rest of the forehead powder free. This also obviously depends on how oily or dry you are. Maria is on the combo oily side. And I like to powder the jawline too. That's also where we've done the most concealer. So really setting and brightening up that area. And now the skin is ready and we can move on to the brows and the eyes. I'm brushing the brows up and then using an ash brown pencil, I'm sketching the top of the brow, using the slanted edge of the pencil, and slowly filling in the brow using brow hair strokes, and focusing on the tail of the brow. This is where I want the most precision. The closer I get to the front of the brow, I want to create brow strokes that are further spaced apart, always making sure that the front of the brow is the lightest and most sparse. The most important thing is to avoid a completely filled in brow. Brows look so beautiful and realistic when you can still see the skin peeking through, or at least varying shades of the brow color. So you want different depths. When I'm happy with the shape, I'm going to use a clear brow gel and brushing them into place with light upward strokes. With my color fluid in Carve, I'm using this again but on its own. Apply it on the eyes. This will create a seamless budge-proof shadow, and I'm using it to contour and sculpt the eye. So along the lash line and the inner corners, blend it upwards. Diffusing it into the crease and blending it out. Remember that this matches her bronzing skin shade because it's exactly what I used, so I can really diffuse it into the temples if I want to. And start to lightly go into the crease and into the front of the brow. This creates this warm, toasty wash of color that looks so beautiful. I'm also going on the lower lash line, buffing it in, and really smoking it out. What I love about my color fluids is that you get a great amount of playtime and blendability, and once they set, they're really not going anywhere, and they don't crease and they don't accentuate any dry skin or folds. Then I'm taking my color fluid in the shade Thorn, a deep, warm chocolate brown, and I'm placing this close to the lash line and blending in, creating a diffused eyeliner. I'm using this quite sheer, but you can get an intense finish by going straight in without any blending and buffing that product in with a brush. I'm also following the blend of the eyeshadow to wing it out. Taking my Monochromance gradient palette, I'm using the shade Alter from the Alter Ego pan, and I'm blending all the tones into one another, creating a velvety feel. This will further enhance the blending of the browns that I'm going to use on top of this. So basically going all over the eyes, avoiding the darker browns. Next, I'm going into Match Made and taking this neutral brown to map out and go over the darker brown areas. This adds a layer of velvety intensity, and I'm going to be blending and diffusing this in a bit. Taking a small fluffier brush, I'm taking that same color and I'm going to start diffusing it over that set liner that we've done. This time focusing on bringing that blend from the lash line into the crease, softly contouring the eye. I love how this creates an airbrushed gradient effect, and these warm browns are just further enhancing her eyes and overall skin tone. For the lower lash line, I really want to mimic that lifted wing that's happening on top. So using a very thin brown gel liner, I'm creating a small line on the outer corner, and then blending it in with a detailed brush, diffusing that line inwards and out, making sure to keep a gap between the upper wing and the lower wing. I'm individually placing medium and short lashes, focusing on the outer wing to create this fluffy lift. And with a neutral nude lip liner, I'm lining her lips, focusing on the outer edges and feathering inwards, keeping the center of the lips free. I focus more on adding depth to the outer corners because she has beautiful lips. Now I'm going to be using a velvety lip formula that can be applied blurred and tapping it into the lips. You can blend this in just by tapping it in with your fingers. I'm pushing this in with a brush as well, and slightly going over the lip liner, just so I can get an even cloud of color. After this application, I feel like I lost a bit of that dimension, so I'm going back in with the lip liner, bringing back life to the lips by accentuating some of the folds and contours, so down the center of the lip and around the edges of the lip line, really enhancing the lower lip. I'm also feathering the pencil in again, creating this color harmony between the cooler pink and the warmer nude, and slightly buffing over the upper lip line for a fuller effect. This can seem like quite a few steps, but the final outcome looks so effortless and sexy. And that is my final look on Maria. This is absolutely one of my favorite looks that I've done. Everything is very enhanced and has that little something extra, but it's still somehow very subtle and dialed back. The soft velvety matte eyes and lips pair so beautifully with the skin that has a lit from within glow. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos weekly, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.